So let's talk about the next piece of it that is critical to your guys' success. Conversations. If you look at all of the different pieces of DPA, all of the different opportunities to get points, what's the one piece that makes the most difference? Conversations, right? And we've had this conversation again, before. And it's I think it gets lost in translation sometimes. How you get to the conversation is all of the other DPA points, right? But the real estate conversation piece is the single most important part of DPA. Because unless you're having the conversations, how do you set appointments? How do you close? How do you get people to buy a house? You can't, right? All right. So what qualifies as a real estate conversation? You tell me.
It's asking for the sale, right? Or trying to get new clients or listings.
Yes. So let me give you some examples. Let's say that I am sending out a mass text message to everybody in my database. Does that count? Everybody do this. Does anybody do this? Okay, good. Meredith's like, no. All right. I'm sending out just automated messages to all of my Facebook friends. If Roxana's already doing this. Right?
No, but the ones that respond, that does count.
There you go, Mr. Gabe. There you go. So those things are still valuable, right? We look at all of these things, and I get asked all the time too. What about posting a YouTube video? What about sending out an Instagram, posting an Instagram thing, right? Do they count as DPA? Right? So what do you think the answer to that is, by the way? Thank you, Meredith. Just being real. Yes, exactly. It's no. Now, why is that, by the way? Because I have a lot of people, yeah, but YouTube's it, social media is awesome and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's not. But why doesn't it count as DPA?
It's the engagement. It's what comes from that.
Yes. Damn, Gabe, you're hired. I'm turning this over to you from now on. Okay. All right.
I'm a high S on the disc assessment.
I like it. All right. Well, and that's really natural for you then, right? The engagement piece for high S's, that's a natural part of what you want to do. You want to be like this. You want to be in that small group, if not one-on-one, doing this. Because remember, you're the one holding the elevator door on to make sure everybody's safe, right? So when it comes to mass groups and being in the middle of a room, you're like, no, not necessarily, right? But when it comes to that one-on-one piece, so this you naturally gravitate towards is this conversation, because your big purpose in life is to have one-on-one conversations, isn't it? As an S. All those that are S's are going, yeah, oh my gosh, yes, please, thank you, right? But that's the truth. All right, so when you get into this piece, all of those other things are absolutely important. That's using your CRM as well, right? That is sending out all the automated messages, the emails that go out, the text messages that go out, all of those different things that should be automated. And by the way, there's a critical piece of this process: automating follow-up, because your dollar productive activity is spent having conversations, correct? Right? Okay. So anything that's not going to give you DPA points, that should be automated, which is a great way to think of it if you think about this process. How much of your daily process or your follow-up process can you automate? Well, for all of you, how many of you have all of this set up in your CRM, regardless of what CRM you have? And Roxanne, lots of room for improvement. Okay. See, that's a critical piece of your process, especially long-term. And we're going to come back to that in a second, but let's go back to the social media piece. Social media, and when you look at the DPA piece too, the DPA is designed to get business within the next 90 days. Everybody know what I mean by that? If you look at DPA points and you look at when those DPA points should come to fruition, if you do them correctly, you should have business within 90 days, right? Kind of a good way to look at it, right? If you look at social media, posting YouTube videos, posting Instagram reels, whatever it happens to be, what's that? How long is it going to take you to get response on a consistent basis from that? Oh, see, look at the blank stares. There's the point right there. Who knows? Correct? And Mike will tell you that all day long too, right? Mike will say, listen, it is a longer term process to do it. Can you get lucky doing those things? Absolutely you can, right? That it is a longer term process. It's building that predictable piece that is going to turn around and get people calling you in the future. That's what you're doing. You're setting that up, right? Ryan, yes, exactly. It's building you as a brand. It's building your brand. So there's your difference when it comes to DPA. And that's why we have those points specific to what they are and why we don't have necessarily. Now we'll have social media challenges and all that kind of stuff as well. And if you want business, if you want to build your Sweet 16, then that's what you're concentrating on, the relationships, having those conversations, getting in front of people, and then asking the questions. And there are two. Have you thought about buying or selling real estate lately? Who do you know that has talked about buying or selling real estate lately? Right? In whatever form or manner you want to say it. That is a DPA worthy real estate conversation. Does that make sense? Yes. Good. Okay. Question, DPA question, can't find hand. Or go ahead. You will ask it, Stacy.
Well, I kind of had two. One, so when you're the networking, etc., does that only count if it's business related, like the business to business networking, or can it be when the girls at the group that I play golf with, when we have dinner or lunch afterwards?
Does the conversation go to business? Now, let me answer that in two different ways. If it's a specific, because there are golf outings that are networking events, right?
Right.
Name specific, and that's what you know. I would have a hard time necessarily just doing a foursome in golf as a networking event unless it's specifically for that purpose. Now, if you have real estate conversations during that golf outing, well, heck yeah, right? And here's the other piece of that too. Natural conversations throughout a day, and especially through 18 holes of golf. Are you going to talk about what you do for a living?
Yeah. I mean, and this is a group of women that like every week, and it depends, like there's different people. So it's not necessarily the foursome. I was thinking more like last night, there were 12 of us at the end that gather to eat. So the conversation's going on there.
Yeah. If you are consciously and purposefully having conversations, yes.
Okay.
And that's a good kind of determining factor when we look at this as well. Are we purposefully looking for the opportunity to have real estate conversations throughout the day? Because you have interactions throughout the day, right? I mean, we all do, even if we're walking through the grocery store line. And if we're purposefully looking to be able to have a conversation throughout our normal daily life, guys, you guys are going to kill it. I mean, seriously, if that becomes part of your conscious daily activity, but that's easier said than done, right, Cheryl? I mean, we've seen that over the years. It is easier said than done because life will distract us into having a conversation about the rain or about, whatever we read on Facebook or saw in the news or whatever it happens to be, correct? As opposed to having a purposeful conversation and looking for the opportunities to have a real estate conversation. And that's what we've got to train ourselves to do, that because it's not natural. It's not. And on the other side of that, sometimes I think that we as an industry have a tendency to not, or have a tendency to look at instigating real estate conversations as an intrusion. You guys know what I mean, right? Because I don't know how many times I've heard from people calling their sphere of influence. Yeah, but I don't want to ask them for business every time I call them. Why the hell not? That's the business you're in, right? If you had a restaurant, wouldn't you have a conversation about when you coming in and trying our new sandwich every day that you talk to somebody that you know? What's the difference? Right? Sean and then Cheryl.
Yeah, seminars and workshops, Rob. If you're going to, let's say we have a weekly meeting every week consistently and have for months, and there's 25 other agents there and you're learning every week. Is it a seminar workshop?
No. So that you're with agents and you're learning about real estate, right? Okay. So what that is, that's a knowledge opportunity that you want to have. When I say seminar workshops, keep in mind, anything that's DPA is about generating new buyers or sellers. And so if you're going to a workshop with other agents, are you generating buyers or sellers? Well, not unless they're going to send you referrals, right? Which is a whole different piece of it. When it says seminars, workshops, B2B meetings, things like that, those are what you are hosting. So in other words, if you do a home buyer workshop, that's what that is. If you do a seller seminar, things like that, that's what the counts as those. And that's when you have those, keep in mind, those are massive opportunities to stack points, right? Because you got 50 people that show up, you have 25 conversations, you set 3 appointments, then you've got 25 note cards to send or 50 note cards. So that's where those big numbers can come from as you do that. That make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. Cheryl?
So the other thing I think we have to get in our heads as realtors is it's our career, it's our profession, right? And, and the same thing goes for what we charge, right? Think about what a lawyer charges. It's their profession, they're professionals, a CPA is a profession. We have to think about us as, we're professionals. This is what we do for a living. It's not what we do as a hobby. And, we have to get this mindset out of, I just want to help people. Yeah, you want to help people, but it's your job, right? It's what we do. And that's where we have to kind of think more professionally. And some of that translates in how we dress and how we present ourselves to people. And we've gotten to be a very casual profession these days, especially where I live up in Spokane. I went to a showing once with a realtor who was wearing dirty old cowboy boots and incredibly dirty jeans. And it was no identification as to whether he was the realtor. He just pulled up. I think we have to kind of get back to looking more professional and acting more professional, and then people will take us more seriously, right?
Well, COVID's made us lazy.
Oh, totally.
All the Zoom over the past 2.5 years has truly made us, and that's worldwide, not just in our profession, but that's everything when we do that. The joke and the memes are, I'm going to continue to work from home and continue to only have Zoom calls so that I don't have to wear pants. You guys have all heard that and you've all seen the damn, right? It's like, but that's kind of you're right. It's now we're getting back into the public. And when you look at it as your profession, yes, I want to help people, right? But you're helping people at a completely different level than most people help people, right? You're helping people have a home. You're helping
the largest purchase of their life.
Yeah, you're helping them have memories. You're helping them have experiences. You're helping them live. You're providing something that's completely different than going to buy a car, right? Or going to a restaurant, or just about anything that's out there, except for maybe neurosurgery, right? And if you think about it like that, why aren't you getting paid the same as a neurosurgeon?
Like I had knee surgery, knee replacement surgery earlier this summer. And I went to my second post-op yesterday with my doctor, and my surgeon was wearing nice dress pants, dress shoes, and a nice shirt. So, I mean, he's a surgeon, but he's still dressed professionally to see his patients. Right. So I just think we got to take a little bit, step back and recapture what our career should look like and what we want to project, right? I even ordered name tags, Rob, and I haven't had a name tag for, 15 plus years. I ordered a name tag because it also creates a conversation when you wear it.
It does. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. That's that mindset thing. Same thing. If you owned a restaurant, would you be telling everybody and inviting every single person you have a conversation with ever to come into the restaurant?
Come on down. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's no different. Stacy?
So I was planning on stacking my points this weekend because I have a listing coming up and I was going to do an open house. I had this whole plan. Well, in being the fiduciary, they need to move quickly, whatever. I submitted them to Express Offers and OfferPad, and they're taking that. So this is a great neighborhood to farm because people have been there 15 plus years. It's the right price point. How do you recommend that I maximize without a sign, what I've done for these people or whatever, but like to get for the neighbors?
8x8 campaign for that neighborhood.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, and everybody know what I mean by an 8x8 campaign? No, no. Okay, I see some no's on there. That's where you are contacting or sending the neighborhood one thing a week for 8 weeks. So they see your name once a week for 8 weeks. So under contract, just sold, another home sold, who do you know? Have you thought about, all of these different things that you can put on postcards, door hangers, whatever it happens to be. And this is what I recommend when you bring a buyer to a neighborhood, right? This is how you steal a neighborhood from somebody that owns it. If you get a buyer that comes into and you sell a home in a neighborhood and you've got the buyer, guys, within 8 weeks, you can own that neighborhood because the listing agent's not doing it and they don't remember who the listing agent is from the day of closing on, right? But you as the buyer agent have a huge opportunity, and seller, listing agents can do the exact same thing. But it's just for new agents, you have a tendency to usually bring a buyer to a neighborhood instead of get a listing first, right? And so if you do that, and by the way, that's in the program. So it's under buyer 8x8, circle marketing for buyers. But Stacy, something like that to talk about what you did and how you helped them get that cash offer and things like that. I helped 123 Main Street get a cash offer in 3 days. I can help you do the same thing. And have that and keep that process in there, right? That makes sense. Yeah, good.
And then after the 8x8, send it monthly in that neighborhood?
Yeah, monthly's fine. Keep in mind too that when you look at nowadays, it used to be that it was once a month and you were great, right? Nowadays, with social media, going back to the other piece, right? Information comes so fast and so often on every subject that I do think that we have to be a lot more consistent than just once a month to be in front of mind. If it's just once a month, you're probably not going to be front of mind for everybody that you want to be. So if you can do it more than that, every other week something, or every other week having maybe it's a food truck one month, or having opportunities to again get in front of people and have those conversations, you're going to have a lot more success than you would if it's just this postcard that goes out, right? Or this newsletter that goes out or something like that. So enhance the once a month thing with a couple of events.